Welcome, everybody, to the Yo Kids Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Gargano. This is the podcast that surrounds everything youth sports. So I've covered pro and college sports, the highest level, and I have fallen in love with youth sports. I'm a big believer in sports for children. I just think it's such a great outlet and keeps them out of trouble, they learn so many great life lessons. So as we go forward with the podcast, we're going to be talking to a lot of different people in the world of youth sports. We'll talk to some professional athletes who have children of themselves. We'll talk about the journey of the athlete. We'll highlight some of the terrific youth sports athletes across the Delaware Valley and beyond. But really, we really wanted to try to give some advice to the parents. Listen, if you got a good story, good idea, please, like I said, hit me up and we'll get to Yo Kids Sports Podcast. And don't forget, our Yo Kids Sports Podcast is presented by Primo Hoagies. Listen, know what I've always said for years and years and years. It's not just a hoagie, it's a Primo. And this fall, whether you're tailgating, football, soccer, it's youth, you name it, make sure you got your Primo Hoagie party tray. Nothing like it for the big game. And speaking of football and the big game, this fall we're giving away a trip to Vegas to see the very big game to one very lucky, very deserving coach. So if you know a youth coach that you think deserves recognition for their outstanding dedication and passion, make your nominations today. PrimoHoagies.com. You can go directly mvc.primohoagies.com. Our most valuable coach promotion here at Primos. I love it. We got to shine some love, give some love to these youth coaches that spend their time, many of whom just getting their full and no compensation. So they're the best. Nominate your favorite coach. Again, it's the Primo Hoagies most valuable coach contest. I love it. I think it's great. And who knows, maybe they'll get to see the birds at the big game. Wouldn't that be something? To another edition of Yo Kids Sports. And listen, all of you parents out here, you will know our next guest. You will know of his product because we all use it and we all love it. This is a tremendous thing. One of the great entrepreneurs and a wonderful man too, who believes a lot in youth sports, and really trying to really help the future of this country. Samir Ahuja, who is the president of the GameChanger app, a division of that's owned by Dick's Sporting Goods. Samir, welcome.
Anthony, thanks for having me here. I'm excited, and I don't think I could ask for a better introduction than that. So well, I appreciate it.
I love your spirit. I follow you, and I think you have a wonderful spirit, and it jives. You know, one of the things about GameChanger, just to get right into it, that I love is that it connects people. It connects families. It's such a wonderful tool.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, you said spirit. I really think that's what gives all of us who work here a positive spirit, because we go out into our communities and we have employees all over the country. Everywhere any of us go, someone's using it, and they always say the same thing. It's a grandma who wants to be connected with her grandkid, or parent is busy with another kid or has to go to work. And that connection, I mean, it's about sports, but it transcends sports because it's just about connecting families. And in a world of smartphones and busy schedules and all of that, there's less connection than we'd all like. And the pandemic kind of messed that up. And so it's really nice to be able to just connect with people. Even I see this at home with my kids. Like, I'm busy, my wife's busy, they're busy. Sure. And we don't always, make time to sit down and have dinner or what. I mean, we have to really work hard at the connection. And this is, GameChanger helps with that. I mean, it's really, really uplifting to work here. It's a privilege.
Yeah, it's so cool. I was doing on Saturday mornings, I do a college football, NFL show for Fox. And my Massimo, plays 10-year travel baseball, had a game. And I go to every game, right? I have a son who's 13, Anthony, who plays football and basketball, and Massimo plays all three. And so Mas had a travel game. And I'm on the air watching the game
through the GameChanger app, and I was actually giving play-by-play of one of Massimo's at bats over the air. And my co-host was like, "This is amazing! What great technology!"
Yeah, it's we hear that a lot. We hear people, they're flying across the Atlantic on a plane, people overseas. One of our favorites, of course, is military servicemen and women who are deployed overseas, and for an indefinite period of time, and they're able to connect with their kids. I mean, kids, grandparents who are in the hospital, they might be sick. There's some amazingly powerful stories, and we go out of our way to just help people do that. And it's it's turned into I like to say, like, doing good is also good business. It's turned into this really big thing, and we're also just getting started, I think.
Yeah, I think it's limitless at what you can do. I subscribe to that theory. I think if you put goodness in the world, it'll return to you, because and for the right reasons. And here's what we're talking about. We're talking about sports, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is, look, I have 2 kids, and I get super involved, and I coach, and I do all that stuff. But I'm a big believer in sports. I covered sports for 30 years, and I'm a big believer that it connects people, it builds churches, it helps kids stay on a great path, a good path, and it brings families together.
Yeah, the good path thing is important. We often say, every kid is a star on GameChanger. Even if you're not going to be an elite player, even if you're not going to, let's say, try for a scholarship, for some kids, it's just about getting better at the sport, maybe developing physically, mentally. For some kids, it's about opportunity that they wouldn't otherwise have. So the longer they can play, the better we think they are physically and mentally. And sometimes they stop playing because the parent's not connected. Sometimes the kid doesn't feel inspired. So when, it's not just about your stats so you can compete with someone. Like, if you come home and your parent talks to you about your stats or how you did, like, that'll make you more interested in going out again the next day. And if a parent feels like the only way you can play is if the parent is at the field, then you might not play because the parent might be busy. But if the parent can stay connected, or let's say even younger kids, you might even be worried about not the safety, but you're like, oh, I don't know who the coach is. I want to just be able to see my kid. Like, I just met the coach. All of those things will inspire more play. And again, not just with people who have resources. That's the beauty of it. It can be with families and communities that are, have less privilege and are able to, might have a harder time giving their kids access to sports. And we're not saying we don't field the games and the teams and all that, but we help encourage and motivate you to stay connected. And we think that, I'd love to do some analysis at some point. Does that inspire people to play longer, kids to play longer?
Well, and I do think the kids also love seeing their name. I mean, little things like, or their highlights, their clips.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's adorable, right? Like, let's be real here. Like, we know that most 99% of these kids, including my own, likely won't play in MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
But so to see, like, hey, Massimo had a triple today.
Yeah.
It's adorable. They love that. They all those kids. It's like you and I were younger and our name was in the newspaper.
Oh my God.
It was like a big deal.
It's a big deal. I have a funny story. My younger daughter, Ella, was in 5th grade rec basketball this past spring. They were not a good team. Okay. So let's just call a spade a spade. They played 12 games. I think they went like 3-9 or something. She made 3 shots in those 12 games in the entire, and that she's fine. They had fun. I was at every game except I missed the 3 shots that she made.
It's always the way.
She keeps reminding me that I missed her 3 shots. And a bunch of other parents are like, did Ella tell you you missed, her 3 shots? And we didn't happen to be streaming that her season. I just I was going to have someone else do it. It didn't work out. And all I want is those 3 clips. I just I don't care about I don't care about the scores, the record. I would pay a lot of money right now to get those 3 clips. Also, so she gets off my back, right? So I that's the motivation. Save those.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I love it. My dad's the president of GameChanger, and I don't have the clips of my basket.
Yeah, that's the headline. Right, exactly. Yeah. That'd be like if you like run Apple and you can't get a phone or your phone doesn't work. It's like that kind of thing. It's like you would think that's the least I could do is get those clips.
But you know what? It's an amazing tool, and when it comes to coaches and keeping everyone apprised of what's going on, so that's wonderful for communication. I mean, it also these teams, you're in constant contact. It's what I love the thing. When I get a message on GameChanger and on my phone, it actually makes me smile, right? Like sometimes emails or texts don't, but like a GameChanger message, I feel good about it. Like I know it's going to be something that's nice, like or something that's inclusive with the team. Whether it's a rain out, that stinks, but everything else is always great.
The thing that's taken off the most is highlight clips afterwards. Mm-hmm. So we have worked out the technology for those to be automated and sent to you. And I think since we started last year, 125 million highlight clips have been created. This is like an insane number of clips, right? I mean, you can do it for every type of play, every single, every double, every triple, every touchdown, every 3-point basket. And so the ability to do that for your kid by their plays is really cool. And people will, like you said, they'll hold on to those. I found myself, kids are 14 and almost 11. I find myself like sometimes looking at their baby pictures, right? It's the same thing. When they're off to college, when they're adults, you'll look back at these highlights. You might share them, you and your spouse. You might just have like one day you're sitting around, it's kind of nostalgic thinking about them. They're busy, they're not with you. I think this is just the exact same thing as old pictures and videos of, just like they're on your phone.
We do it all the time. It's funny. I can't believe you said that because my wife and I will go back and we'll see them, like you said, because our kids are on the same age when they're babies, and we watch the clips and we'll sit there and the big one or the little one will be between us, and we'll be looking at the clips together, and we'll watch them over and over again, and we'll pick out little things. Hey, did you see the look on the coach's face when you hit that shot? And it's adorable. Like it's the bonding aspect, and this is what I'm such a believer in family and that closeness, that bond. And I think this is such a wonderful tool for stuff like that.
It's a wonderful tool, and coaches love it too, right? So we have this expression, like coach more, manage less. Like the logistics, you might have to send a bunch of emails or field a bunch of texts if you're not using our app. Just like you said, game cancellation, game scheduling, location. A lot of that's automated, and now you can focus on helping the kids. You can look at their stats, you can look at their video, you can give them input, coach, make them get better. And so it really kind of helps everyone who's in and around this thing.
Well, I also coach, and I can attest to that because stuff like, here's the address, we're playing at St. Charles tomorrow, and this is where the school is, this is the address input, and then we'll have the parents have direction through Waze or whatever. You just click on it, and the tech, it's amazing. You got to tell me the history. I know you came aboard in 2017, and so originally this was meant to be a baseball, like almost to score the games.
Yeah. Going back to around 2010, this was basically replace the scorebook, which we know in baseball was a huge thing at all levels because there's such a affinity to stats. See people at professional games sitting there scoring the game. iPhone had come out, mobile phones were taking off late 2009, 2010. Digital scorebook. So you're a coach, you use this thing, you keep score. Now you have all the stats. What happened is in creating that and doing the scoring, this is information that was never digitized before. It created the ability to create a fan experience. So if you think on like ESPN, where you're not watching a video, but you're watching like a picture of the field and you see the ball moving back and forth like a game stream, that's what was originally created. And that took off in baseball and softball. One of the two co-founders played minor league baseball, went into business, and they grew the thing to a certain size, still focused on baseball and softball. And then they felt like they needed more backing, and the company was acquired by Dick's Sporting Goods. That's right around the time I joined. About a year into that, I got the founders left, and I was asked to run the company. And thankfully, I'm sure, I give myself some credit. We've had this incredible growth. We've, sort of 5x every metric and every part of our business over the last 5 years. Went from about 40 employees to nearly 200 today, and went from a couple million games, which is still a huge amount, to 6.5, 7 million games on the platform every year. And went from baseball and softball now to basketball, youth football, flag football, volleyball, and soccer, and soon lacrosse and other sports. So it's kind of and then we added video streaming. So now instead of watching like a fake field game stream, you're actually watching the video. It's like professional sports on TV.
It's and the beauty of marrying tech to every walk of life, and to make our existence that much more fulfilled. That's what that is. I mean, the fact that we talked about, having to be able to chance to watch your kid when you're busy or ill or whatever is one of the greatest gifts of them all. And then this came about right around the pandemic, when we started to go through the pandemic.
Video streaming was right during the pandemic, and it was kind of an incredible story because our game activity went basically to zero because everything shut down in March, April 2020. And interestingly, our revenues are subscription based. So actually our revenues didn't go down. People still were holding on to their subscriptions. And we knew it would come out of it at some point, but we didn't really know what no one knew. Anyone who says they knew didn't at the time. And on a Friday afternoon, in the space of 2 hours, our executive team, our board, we made a decision to build video streaming and kind of bet the whole company on that. And what was the rationale? I like to keep things simple. It was, people are not going to be attending these games when they come back out of the gates. We had a lot of senior citizens who were perceived to be more vulnerable to the pandemic, to COVID, and everyone's streaming. Everyone, the week after they shut down, they were on Zoom. People who never, churches, temples, all these people who never use Zoom. My mom started using Zoom, like she never used, and so I'm like, video streaming is now everywhere, right? And I swear, literally it was from like noon on that Friday to by 2 p.m. we made this decision. We pivoted a good chunk of our team to build video streaming. We launched it in right after Labor Day in 2020. And 2 to 3 years later, we're the largest streamer in all of youth sports. It's kind of, I'd love to say I predicted exactly what happened, but no, you just do, you work hard and you do right by your customers and you hope for the best.
Well, the concept was brilliant. Let's face it, you're right. Like when we had such a desire to see one another, like, we're all isolated, and this concept where the elderly and a lot of the older people that all of a sudden like go, oh, okay, well, with Zoom, we can do that. And all of a sudden we connected to loved ones across the world. Right. And so, I'll never forget, during that period, my whole family, we took Italian lessons with a young woman from Italy.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. And it was great. She had a learn an Italian language school that we took virtual classes. We met via Zoom 3 days a week. And that was our little thing that we did together as a family.
Cool. I think at one point my kids were younger then. They were doing like a balloon making class on Zoom. I could not believe it. I'm like, how is this all happening on Zoom? That's very, very cool. Well, hopefully the Italians stuck. Hopefully they picked some of it up.
We went this summer. We went back and
good.
Yeah, but it didn't take. Although I think they're more along than I am, so I can appreciate that. The idea though of what youth sports can do, and let's talk a little bit about the power of youth sports. Look, one of the things that I always talk about, because parents have all these questions, and I covered pro sports for 30 years, and there's stuff that I don't know that all of a sudden this whole world of NILs and the race to get scholarships that start in grade school, and there's a lot of, you guys play an important role into everything, because all of a sudden now coaches and scouts, and we're talking high schools to colleges, can follow along with kids and get a glimpse of them through their streaming too.
100%. Now, one of the things I feel really good about is we give the option to the team to decide who they want to share their content with. So we encourage teams to decide, elite teams, do they want recruiters? Do they want to invite a recruiter onto the platform? Do they want to invite college coaches? We don't impose that on our customers, which I like. But of course, many of the elite teams do that. We have coaches or representatives from every major college program on our platform, but they're all invited by the team. And we like that. We like serving the team community, letting them decide what they want to do with their content. Now, of course, we charge for it, but it's their content. What a lot of these elite teams and families do is they need to spend a lot of money to put their recruiting package together, highlights and all that. That can be thousands of dollars. If you are a team that's streaming and scoring on GameChanger, you can get all that content for your monthly subscription of $12.99 a month. And that completely changes the economics for a family. Now, I'm not saying that the family can't afford it, but they still then have to spend money on going to actual showcase events, like a Perfect Game or something. Yeah. They have to go visit colleges, maybe. They have to go to all sorts of tournaments. They got to spend money on all the travel. They're spending tens of thousands of dollars. If we can save a bit of money for them, now look, that might mean that we disrupt some of these people who are charging them thousands of dollars for video packages, but that's capitalism. And like, we think that we have a much more valuable product that's a lot cheaper, and we can sell it to a lot more people. And so the response to what we are calling our athlete profiles, which is your resume on our platform, it's stats for your whole career aggregated and your video clips. I mean, it's been overwhelming, the number of people who've signed up for that. And what's cool is we typically have parents on the app and coaches. The kids themselves, the ones who have their own phones, ones who are older, are coming onto the app themselves now. I have friends here, sort of middle school, high school friends. They've asked their parents for their own GameChanger subscription. And of course, the joke is like, why? They're like, Samir, I'm paying you 3 times. And, but, they also want that independence. They want like their own thing. They don't want like their parents' login. But they're looking at their profiles.
We're a 2 household, so
nice.
We pay you twice.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And, they want, and then they're so savvy on social media, much more than the older folk. And they want to share all this stuff. It's like, that's the world they live in. So they share their clips, they share their stats. It's a really cool part of it. But again, you don't have to be an elite athlete. It helps because this helps you, get you that you can put all your stuff together. But you might be just, someone who just wants to put all that stuff together. But yeah, we love that we can kind of be across all of these segments of competition, from like rec to, elite.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool is that the audience for this is just massive.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put together all the sports, all the age groups that go from, child through high school. I mean, it's unbelievable.
90 million parents in the United States. That doesn't include grandparents. I mean, not all the kids play sports, but there's 40, 50, 60 million people out there. We have almost 10 million people on our platform. 1 in 6 games are on our platform for team sports, at least, not including like swimming or running.
Sure.
I'd love for that to be 2 in 6, 3 in 6. We think we'll get there. No one's as big as us. Yeah, it's millions of people. The people on our platform right now spend about 300 million hours engaging on our platform a year. And it's just really intense. The other stat I love to share is more games are covered in 1 month on GameChanger than the entire history of Major League Baseball, which is kind of crazy.
Speaking of MLB, you
Yeah.
guys just did a partnership with MLB. Tell us about that.
Absolutely love working with them. Of course, they are the pinnacle of baseball, the professional level. And we believe we're one of the 2 or 3 most important companies in youth sports, right? In baseball, certainly. So that connection felt very natural to us. And a shared objective is to grow the game. And to grow the game, both obviously players, which is a tiny fraction of people, but fans as well. Young players, fans, and professional players. And so somewhat uniting the ecosystem. And I don't want to overplay that statement, but connecting the ecosystem really encourages kids, because they look up to these players who are pros. It encourages parents and other people to be fans. And it's manifesting itself in a really cool way, which is sharing of content. So our content is, of course, highlights and youth games. And one of the things, and it just started actually this Saturday on the Play Ball show on the MLB Network, is top 10 game changer highlights of the week. And by the way, I cannot believe that youth baseball highlights are on national television. Like, I'm still getting over that from the week. I mean, we knew last week or several weeks ago it was going to happen, but I just I'm pinching myself. Like, who would have thought, right? And the reception's been amazing. It's going to be every week. So now you're on Game Changer. You can submit your highlight clips to us, tag us on social, and then we kind of pick them, and so that's kind of in that direction. And the other direction, you're done with the season. You're still obsessed with the sport. How about some non-game training content from MLB? You have a famous player, which they do. They want to share that. They want to get that content out to more people. Yep. So that's going to be the content stuff in this direction. Of course, there's some marketing and promotional stuff. Just a really cool partnership. And, I hope in the future we're doing the same thing with some of these other the big pro leagues, NBA, NFL, et cetera.
No, and you could see it. You could see the natural aspect. Think of something like master's class, right?
Yeah.
And so this is a version of that in the sense of, hey, let's have Trey Turner show you properly how to field a ground ball, right? And just the idea of little things, talking to the kids through these lessons and through these, coachable moments. It's a valuable. First of all, it's fun and the kids will love it. And second of all, it's important, man. It helps in development.
It's so important. The development is so multifaceted. It's not just the physical, right? Being part of a team, it's not the only way, but is a great way to develop confidence, develop social skills, learn from failure, right? You're going to lose games. You're going to win games. You might get cut from a team. You're not going to have, you might have a bad season. You might have a bad game. I think that, our mission, like the phrase, the sentence is elevate the next generation through sports. Like, the next generation are going to grow up to be adults. They're going to lead the world. They're going to do the jobs that we do now. They're going to be in positions of authority. Some will be in government, in business, whatever they do. So if they're spending a certain amount of time on sports, we want that to be a productive exercise, productive thing. Obviously, you want them to have a good school experience, whatever, friends, social, everything. But particularly in America, kids play a lot of sports, and it should help them be better adults.
I think no question. And you talk about the different aspects of leadership and self-confidence, and failure is so important. And I think that is something that we struggle with today, is that, we don't want our kids to fail. But there's a valuable lesson in that. And that's the beauty of sports. And that's why I always preach for your kids to, whatever it is, get them to play it. Yeah. Because we all need to get back up off the mat. Yeah. We need to feel exhilaration, but we also need to know that it's okay. The sun's going to come up tomorrow, and 100%. We're still there. We're stronger for it.
100%. And I think of my older daughter, 14. She's a terrific kid, done really well in school, started high school. She had shied away a bit from some of the competitive stuff. She played sports. She decided she was really into tennis and had shied away from competitiveness. So she tried out for the team in 9th grade just now. And she got to the final round, and she didn't make it. And she was upset that night, and she woke up the next day and she was fine. I was so happy that she did that, because I think a year ago she probably wouldn't. And something has clicked. And again, I don't care about the outcome. She came home last week, and she's now running for class president.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And by the way, it's 1 in 4. There's 4 people running. So she may not win. I told her, I don't care. And then I said, how are you going to feel that night if you lose? She's like, I got cut from the tennis team. This was not so, she's learned from the first thing. Yes. And all these people are like, her name's Anya. They're like, so glad you're putting yourself out there. And by the way, she might win, but I told her, we don't care if you win. I'm glad you put yourself out there. You already are doing all these other things. If you don't do this, you'll find something else to do. I'm just happy. I don't think if she wasn't cut from the tennis team, I don't think she would have run for president, personally.
You know what? That's a beautiful story. And I think so important to share. Yeah. My oldest one, who's around Anya's age, he's in 8th grade.
Okay.
He was playing baseball, and you know what? Kids started to get better than him. He was struggling with different aspects of the game. And I could tell, like he started to lose interest a little bit, and he was a little pudgy, and he was probably 10 at that point.
Mhm.
And I told my wife, I said, I want him to play football. He's a bigger kid. I said, I want him to go play football. And of course, no, no. My wife said, no, no, no. I said, listen, one of the misnomers is, well, at that age, they're not moving fast enough
Yeah, that's
to,
right.
to have a lot of it. Like it's important. So I took him to football. He fell in love with it.
Amazing.
And all of a sudden, rounded shoulders became shoulders back, chest up. And
I love
he's
it.
the starter. He's going to play in high school.
Amazing.
He's big and he's filled out. And he's like, when people say, hi, he goes, I'm a football player. And he's a good student, which obviously is the most important thing. But he says it, Samir, with pride. And
I
as a
love that.
parent,
Yeah.
that's what all we want for our
That's all you
children
want. That's all
is
you
to
want.
be prideful and love yourself.
100% agree. 100%. That's a terrific story. I'm excited that he's doing that. Maybe he'll end up on a GameChanger team. We don't do as much in football, but we're getting there. So.
Yeah, we're on one, so it's good in
Awesome.
New Jersey.
Awesome.
So yeah, we are on a GameChanger team. I would love to see you move into football and now again, it's fun because the baseball thing is great, and
Yeah.
my little one playing the travel ball is it's so much fun because we're scouting other teams.
Terrific.
Right? Like
Yeah, I love that.
Like it's cool. Like
Yes,
scouting
it's
other
cool.
people. Oh, look at, they got a lefty who
Yeah.
throws pretty hard. Look at this kid.
I love it. I love it. Very cool. Yeah.
It really is. What's your thoughts on when we talk about youth sports?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, there's degrees of taking it too far, but ultimately, what's the most, real sort of positive message that you can gain from it and that you would preach? And I'm curious, as someone who's a real, decision maker in this industry, what's your advice for parents?
Honestly, it's part of what you said is get your kids out and get them to play, right? And worry less about the outcome. Just have them play and encourage them to keep playing, because what they gain from that, whether they become a star athlete or not, is going to be hard to gain anywhere else. Find the thing that they love, like your son discovered football with your help, but just play. Like, don't stop playing. I think that's the main thing I would say. And it is play, right? It's have fun with it. And I think you can have fun with it even when you're being competitive, right? Just be positive, but get out and play. That would be my single piece of advice for families and, for parents and their kids.
Were you a sports fan growing up? Did you play
I
ball?
was, yeah. So it was an important part of my story. I was an immigrant, moved here when I was in the 5th grade and into the New York area. And, I was academically fine and all that, language and all that. But, socially, it was a change, and fell in love with baseball. Sadly, I was a Mets fan at the time. This has been very heartbreaking. And but this was the 80s, right? So they had some good, 86 was,
Sure.
I'm really dating myself, but my parents had got me one of these like Walkman things, but it wasn't tape. It was just radio. It was like a Sony radio. And I would stay up late listening to the games when they were on the West Coast on the fan. And I became obsessed with baseball. And then again, this is pre-computer and
right.
An almanac with all the stats. And I knew every stat. I mean, I don't anymore, but I knew every stat for every player, historical. Like I was kind of nerdy and quantitative, and I love base. So I was obsessed with this, and then I played on the rec team, middle school team, whatnot. And that would I made friends that way, right? And I had something cultural because I didn't know the music and I didn't know all the movies. And this was, and with boys, it's easy if you like sports. It's just everyone gets along. And
yes,
it really was, it was very, and I didn't expect to work in the industry. That's somewhat by coincidence, but that was a big part of having a life, like a social life was really baseball. And so in a sense, a real amazing coincidence that I'm doing this now. Probably somewhere inside of me, I had that affinity going back.
And what you describe is a beautiful story because it's really the importance of what sports can do for young people, right?
Yeah.
Like it paved your path,
Yeah.
to for social. And I mean, how important the social aspect of childhood, right, and adolescence. And here you are, right? You could talk about Dwight Gooden and David Cohn and Saberhagen, guys. In another life, I covered the Mets.
Yeah, no, and I could literally, I could tell you, his record this year. I mean, I still remember. I mean, it was, and then actually it was I think that impressed some of the other kids. And then when I played, and I kind of we have people who work with us, same thing. I have this person, Sarah, who runs our data and analytics team. And she played basketball, and her dad would go to I think it was in Kentucky growing up, and her dad would go to every game. And this was the foundation of her relationship with her dad. And he was incredible. He'd travel, really far to every game. And it gave her a lot of confidence. And I mean, it's just, there's so many stories like that. And, and everyone's story is a little bit different, right? Some person, it was like mine, some person, it was confidence. Some of it was, I mean, there's no single story, right? It's just, everyone's got something. And actually, when people start working with us, you don't need to love sports, and there are plenty of people who don't, but we do ask them, is there a sports story or something kind of specialty? And most people have something, even if they weren't, deep sports players. They're just doing something like that, or that's impacted their lives.
Yeah. I think back to talking about your bonding moments, and some of the greatest times, this with the girls, is being in the car, to and from, and it's they can't go anywhere, right? They're there with you. Go anywhere. And I don't know how you are. After the game, I kind of allow them to if you want to talk about it, I'm pretty quiet. And then I allow them, hey, you want to stop for a bite, or we always stop for something, right? A little slice of pizza or an ice cream or something, just a little something that makes it the night a special night.
Totally. I feel like we're all busy with things. I feel like it's harder and harder to find the time, spend time with my kids. I have to plan for it. My work is busy. They're older. They're busier with friends and school, and doing something like that, and the back and forth and the time there. In both my kids' case, which is totally fine, they've moved on from team sports, and they're really into tennis, and they've actually taken up squash, which is a sport that I've always played, or not always, I played since grad school. So we're now playing squash together, and we'll all go at the same time, and we'll round robin, and we'll play. And that's become my highlight of the week with them, because it's our time, it's booked. Like you said, there's this great hot dog place near our squash. We'll go and get a hot dog afterwards.
Yes.
And my wife is usually she's doing her thing during that time. And it's both of them. It's both kids and me. I mean, it's like a Sunday morning thing, and it's.
Welcome to Primo. How can we help you today?
One old-fashioned meatball, and make it quick, because I got practice.
You got it. Coach?
Congratulations, Coach!
You've been nominated by your team to win 2 tickets to the big game!
Wait, nominated? So I didn't win?
Smile. Not yet, Coach.
Most valuable
Not
coach.
yet.
Smile,
Not
coach.
yet.
Smile.
Come on, smile.
Smile for the
Smile.
Cowboys, coach.
You got to be kidding me.
Smile, coach.
I love what you just said. It's like Sunday morning. Because Sunday morning with family is something that we cherish.
That's absolutely right. We have a saying, well, it's not a saying, but kind of how we describe the world of youth sports, Monday to Sunday, right? So you're getting ready during the week. Obviously you have games during the week too, but getting ready, getting prepared. And then we feel like we're part of the weekend, right? You got your game, it's on GameChanger, and then you start again, and now you get better. You look at your video, you look at your highlights, you look at stats, and you train, you practice, you get better, and you do it all over again. That's just, we're there for every part of it, the logistics of setting up the game itself and getting better after the game. So I'd love for people to be using our product 7 days a week. That's the goal.
It's funny. The beauty of the GameChanger app, and I'm going to pull mine up right now, is the fact that I get to look at all my teams, right? And then I have All right, because the little guy's playing baseball and football. The big guy's playing football, right? So the little guys, I go, all right, well, can he make, all these events? Right? Can he play on Saturday in the baseball tournament and then, squeeze in his football game? And it really actually helps to organize the
No.
parents. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the great things is their schedules, Samir,
Yeah.
are as convoluted as mine now.
Oh, 100%. And you're the person taking them around, right? And so you got to be organized. But again, like you said, it's time you'll never get back. And I think I heard some stats somewhere, by the time the kids are like 12 or 14, you've spent like 90% of the time you're ever going to spend with them. Because, like they go off and do their thing. And so I know it's hard. And like,
Don't tell me that. You're gonna get me upset.
oh my God, you're gonna get off here and go max out your time with them.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, well, obviously when they're babies or whatever, little, like you're spending a ton of time with them. And so every moment counts. And so more power to you for doing all that. It's amazing. You're the folks like you are the reason GameChanger exists.
I love your tag. Every moment counts, and you get to document it. And
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of cool. Hey, let me touch on another aspect of your career. And you sit on the board. You're a senior vice president for Dick's Sporting Goods, and I'll tell you that all youth sports parents know Dick's Sporting Goods really well. Man, I walk in the store and they know I'm Anthony Gargano. Hello.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hopefully you're having a good experience there. Dick's
Love it. I love that store. And
Awesome.
I don't know what if it's our inner child, but all I keep thinking about is, damn, I wish I was a kid now.
Oh my God, it's amazing. And by the way, they're opening these new stores. They have a handful of them, House of Sports. It's kind of a newer concept. I don't think there's one in New Jersey or in downstate New York. They are incredible. They're 100,000 plus square feet. They have fields connected to them. They have rock climbing wall. It's amazing. So there's maybe a dozen of them right now or something like that. I have all these sayings. I'm just saying that if I was starting a new like tech company, sports tech company, Dick's Sporting Goods would be my first call. Unbelievable partners, unbelievable support. As you said, ubiquitous sports retailing company in the country. Tens of millions of people go there. More than 800 stores. But the most important thing is their mission is in line with the GameChanger mission. They believe in the power of youth sports. They have a foundation whose mission is to save youth sports, which is amazing. Corporate entity to devote resources there. And we couldn't have asked for a better partner. They've empowered us. They've empowered me to run the business and grow GameChanger. And they support us, but they don't slow us down. And they allow us to kind of be a startup and be fast growing. And they're a big company. They have processes. They need to do that. They're a public company, but they've really nurtured us in a way that I think it's like almost how you would raise a kid, right? Empower them, support them, and let them shine and let them sort of spread their wings. And again, from the time they bought the company to today, I mean, it's 7 to 10 times bigger on all fronts.
What an analogy. It's actually a perfect analogy,
Yeah.
which is so unique for a corporation like that to get involved with a startup and to actually allow it to be, instead of just taking it over and putting someone that doesn't understand it, because I've seen that happen many times. So I think it's pretty cool.
It's really a sort of like a business nerd. I would say it's an enlightened view. Yeah. And you've seen so many, like you said, startups get acquired. And by the way, they often destroy value because of what you said, culture clash and a really enlightened view by the Dick's leadership to empower us in this way. And they're benefiting from it, which is, so it's good. This is it's truly a case study. And we know of companies in our space. We know of companies acquired by other large sports related companies, and they kind of get messed up. And sometimes they get rid of them after a while for a fraction of what they got it for, because it didn't work out. And thankfully, in everyone's benefit, this is the opposite of that. This is truly a success story. Credit goes to our team and to the Dick's leadership to just come together it was really an enlightened way. It's the best word I can use.
It's kind of cool because you want to let the people that made this into something like your vision. Let's face it, like your vision for Game Changer. And you look at the journey that when you come on in 2017, and then through the pandemic, and then getting involved with streaming all the games, doing a partnership with Major League Baseball, and taking this company and building it. If all of a sudden it was another voice, it would have stunted a lot of the growth. And I'm a big believer in that.
100%. And we have built a lot of trust with them. We are very good at all the things that you should be good at, right? Very organized, very disciplined, communicate well, adhere to really good governance and all of that. And we have been able to maintain that voice of the people that got us there. We have the longevity is pretty cool. One, in general for companies, and two, tech companies, people move around a lot. Our core leadership on the technical side, which is most of our company, like our two executives who lead that, both have been here more than 7 years each, which in tech company is, especially one that went through an accident, is almost unheard of. And and then you look at the others on our team, and we have a core group. The first employee of GameChanger is still here 12 years later or 13 years later. It's kind of amazing. Yeah. Kind of a remarkable story.
Yeah. And maybe that goes to, well, certainly it's because of you guys and what the company's become, but also I think, it's the power of sports. I think, think about you growing up that Met fan, and how your journey has taken you to becoming a partner with MLB.
Yeah.
Like how incredible. I'm a Phillies fan, right? I grew up going to Veterans Stadium. All right. I love the Phillies, love the Eagles and the Flyers and the Sixers. And all of a sudden I go, wow, I'm talking to these people. These people, I know everyone. It's such a unique kind of cool thing.
It's a unique, cool thing. It's really wholesome. Many kids grow up with that kind of dream and that looking up to those people. And I hear this from other people in sports, and I think youth sports in particular, is just you're kind of feel privileged that you actually get to work in the space. And again, I never thought of specifically working in youth sports. Most people, honestly, when they're thinking about sports, they're thinking about pro sports, right? And this is which is amazing. This is its own unique, amazing thing. I would never even thought this was an industry, honestly, right? And but happiness and community is very valuable to people, right? Like some people say, are you an app? Are you a tech company? I'm like, we're a happiness company. That's what we do.
That's lovely. And that's, when you're dealing with youth, the sports, it could be coaching, it's almost ministry-like. Like it's, there is such a responsibility.
Yeah.
And this is what I really respect the app, and I respect what you guys have done, because you understand the responsibility of working with children, the importance of it, working with families. And I think that is look, any pro sports is great and wonderful and glitzy and glamorous, but there's an importance that needs to, a responsibility that comes with youth and youth sports.
100%. So part of the responsibility is the obvious thing, the safety of the kids, the enjoyment of the kids, the development of the kids. But then it's that other thing, and I know it's more lofty, but back to our mission, today's kids are tomorrow's adults. If we like each other and we like the planet and we like humanity, like we need kids to grow up to be good adults. And that's a big responsibility. I think that responsibility falls on families and religious institutions, schools, but also in youth sports. And it's like it is a kind of a family, right? You're friends with the other people on the team. You might be friends with the other parents, and they're in your community. It's an extended family, and we help that. And we take the responsibility seriously. I think it's a big reason a lot of people come work here, even if they don't like sports. They take the responsibility of helping young kids or kids in general really seriously. And and it's something they're having fun doing at the same time. And the best companies are mission driven, but not just like words on a page because someone says they should. So our mission feels very authentic. I spend a lot of my time getting people excited about this company, and it's really easy to do. I don't have to do a lot of getting myself pumped up to sell this thing because it kind of, it sells itself, and it's wholesome, which I love.
Yeah, I will tell people that you're a great follow on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
I enjoy your energy. I mean, it comes across in your posts.
I appreciate it. I
and
do.
your company.
I do like it.
I got to tell you, last thing, Samir, if you have any sort of message to the parents, the millions of people who have downloaded your app, what would be your message to them?
My message to the parents is make sure your kids are having fun, even if they're at the highest levels of competition. Make sure they're having fun and make sure they are happy sports. And again, I love your example. You helped your son find a path in a sport that he liked. And so just be there to make them happy and make sports a fun experience. It can be competitive and fun at the same time.
Beautiful. Samir, thanks. We're going to get you back.
Anthony, this was really it was the highlight of my day. I love your energy as well. Love the questions. Of course, love talking about it. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. You're a joy, man. You really are. Hey guys, here at Yo Kid Sports, for Brendan Petrilli and myself, Anthony Gargano, I just want to thank you for hanging on our channel. We love it. All right, we love doing this content. Just do us a solid and hit the subscribe button, because the more people that we can reach, that we can amplify this thing, the better guests, the more content that we can produce. So do us a solid, hit the subscribe, tell your friends, your families, your coaches, get everybody subscribed, because chances are here at Yo Kid Sports, we're going to be talking about your kid or your coach. It's a lot of fun. Hang with us.